What?
Okay, hello everybody. Welcome to Jewish Youth Course, GPS for the Soul, part 2 or part 3 or part 4. We're not sure which part it is.
That's what I wanted to do.
We're gonna start now. I hope everyone's enjoying your sushi and your fresh baked ziti. Thanks to Tippa for making the baked ziti, and thanks for the woman at Seasons for making the sushi for us. She always makes nice platters for us. So shout out to them. Thank you. So we're gonna start. This is class number 2 of Jewish GPS for the Soul. We are exploring the Tanya. I never gave an introduction to the Tanya, even though some people here have not learned Tanya before. Last week, I think we did a survey. It was roughly 50% have. So for your survey of Tanya, the introduction to Tanya, we're just going to do that another time. We're just jumping into the text, the information. But briefly, Tanya is a work of Chassidus. What's that, you ask? I can't answer right now. It's too long of an answer. So for right now, we're going to say it's a work of Chassidus, of Chassidic thought. And the Tanya is one of the earliest works of Chassidic thought. It was written in the late 1700s. And it was written by Rabbi Shneir Zalman of Liadi, who is known also as the Alte Rebbe, which in Yiddish just means the old rabbi. He's the first rabbi of the Chabad Chassidic dynasty. You know, you have Breslov, you maybe heard of, you have Ger Chassidim, you have Belz Chassidim, you also have Chabad Chassidim. So the Tanya is the first work, or the work from the first leader, the first Rebbe of Chabad, of which I'm a part, as you know. And the Tanya is not just for people like myself. As I'm seeing in my 2 decades here in Queens, more and more, that Tanya is of interest and appeal to more and more people of all stripes and colors, whether they consider themselves Chabad, whether they even consider themselves even religiously observant at all. And I found that it appeals to a broad spectrum. And the more I study Tanya, which I've been doing thankfully for quite a number of years already, the more I find just more and more resonates with me and more points stand out. So, yeah. Someone mentioned before they love fish. I heard someone say they love fish. Mm-hmm. True, right? True. So Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, who passed away something like 2 or 3 years ago, one of my favorite rabbis, he was amazing. I had the opportunity, thank God, to meet him a number of times. Yeah, a tremendous scholar. He translated and commented on the entire Talmud, as well as the entire Mishnah, the entire Rambam. An unbelievable scholar. Someone once told him, "I love fish," and he said, "No, you don't." Yeah, I love fish. I love meat. Not so much for me. Meat, vegetables, whatever, but fish. I love fish. So you don't love fish. If you loved fish, you wouldn't kill it and eat it. But in any event, that's one introduction. I'm only saying this because I heard someone say I love fish. It's just food for thought. Get it?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for getting it. Thank you, Kayla.
Yeah. We're not killing you.
I didn't say you were. I didn't accuse anybody of anything.
Still love it.
Secondly, I want to just share a brief story before we jump into the Tanya. The brief story is because today on the Jewish calendar is the 22nd day of the month of Shvat. Shvat is a great month. You know how I know Shvat is a great month? Because I was born in Shvat. That's how I know it's a great month. You predicted that, right? You know it's a great month. So today is the 22nd day of the month of Shvat, which is also the Yortzeit, the anniversary of passing of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's wife. Her name was Chaya Mushka. That's why if you ever hang out in Chabad circles, you're going to meet a lot of girls who are named Chaya Mushka or Chaya or Musio or some variation thereof. So her Yortzeit, she passed away in 1988. Her Yortzeit is today. So I want to share a very brief story about her, which highlights the idea of sensitivity and how we in our lives have to always be aware and conscious of being sensitive to other human beings, and how we can never really be too, well, you could maybe be too sensitive, but how we should always take into account how other people feel and how they might feel. And this is a short story that I heard this morning, like an hour ago, so I'll share it with you now. I heard it from the daughter of the person the story happened to. So a woman named Esther Steinberg, who lives in the Crown Heights neighborhood of Brooklyn, was in the hospital for something. I don't know what it was, some type of ailment. She was in the hospital. And in her home, she had a bunch of kids running around at home. The mommy's in the hospital. Okay, the kids are at home. The phone rings. So sometime in the, I think in the either late 1970s, maybe the early 1980s, I'm not sure. The phone rings. So the person I heard the story from, her sister, her older sister, whose name was Sarah, answered the phone. Hello? And the woman identifies herself as, hi, it's Mrs. Schneerson from President Street, meaning that's the Lubavitch Rebbe's wife. The Rebbe's house was on President. Everybody, maybe not everybody, people you mentioned me 770 before. 770 is on which street? You don't even need to know. It's just 770. You don't even need to, no, Chocolate is next to 770. 770 is the center. 770 Eastern Parkway is Chabad World Headquarters, established in the 1940s. But the Lubavitcher Rebbe himself actually lived a couple blocks away on President Street. Fine. So this young girl, Sarah, who would answer the phone, oh my gosh, the Lubavitcher Rebbe's wife is calling me. Oh, what am I supposed to? She didn't know. She was taken aback, didn't know what. She never spoke to her before. I don't think she ever had ever even met her before. What do you say? And she says, hi, your mother's in the hospital. What's for supper tonight? She was calling to make sure that the family, whose mother is in the hospital, that the family had what to eat for dinner. What's for supper tonight? Now, this young girl, Sarah, she knew what was for supper tonight, and she was embarrassed to say. She was embarrassed to answer the question. The answer was hot dogs and French fries. And she was embarrassed to say that answer because she felt that that's dinner. It's not. That's like a snack. That's not really dinner. So she was kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. She didn't want to lie and make up some, we're having a beautiful sushi and baked ziti. She didn't want to make up something. She didn't want to lie, but she didn't want to tell the truth either, because to say hot dogs and French fries, it's not much of a supper. But she decided in that split second she would tell the truth. So she said hot dogs and French fries. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe's wife, the Rebbitzin, then responded, children love hot dogs and French fries. That's the whole story. The point of the story I'm sharing you is, number one, because I heard it today, so I'm sharing it with you. I'm passing on the story that I heard. Number two is that the Lubavitcher Rebbe's wife was known for her sensitivity to other people. So whereas some people maybe were mortified, this young girl was mortified for having hot dogs and French fries for dinner. Now children love that kind of dinner. And by the way, the story, the epilogue to the story is that, by the way, they always had hot dogs and French fries on Sunday nights. But in any event, some people say, don't yuck my yum. Some people maybe say it that way. But either way, hot dogs and French fries, whatever a person is doing is great. And our place in the world is that we can always know that we have an opportunity whether to discourage or to encourage someone. And we can always choose to encourage someone, to support them in their choices, to support them in their decisions, and to support them being who they are. So anyway, with no further ado, and if no one has any comments or questions, we will jump right in to the Tanya.
So the girl on the phone told you that story?
No, I heard it from the girl's sister.
Oh, okay.
The story took place something like 50 years ago. Maybe 40 years ago. Not 40 years ago. What?
You say.
Okay. So we're studying the Tanya. Anybody have any recollection? I'm not testing you.
Oh.
What did we speak about last week? Yeah.
Chabad.
Yeah.
You told us like the exact meaning of it because someone came up to you when you were in Harlem.
That's right.
Yep.
Tell me again.
You're
locked in.
No, I didn't remember.
Locked in. Wow.
It's a good story.
It's a good story.
She wasn't.
Everyone remember the story? I was in the change. I was waiting outside the change room for my wife to try maternity clothes. I don't know why we were in the Old Navy in Harlem. I have no clue. There were no stores of maternity clothes closer to where we lived in New Jersey. I have no idea. But in any event, and the guy walked past me and just said, "Chochma bina das." I don't know what the point of the story is. I have no clue, but it happened. And Kayla's reminding us of the story. It happened. And we were learning about Chabad, not the movement of Chabad, but the concept, spiritual idea of Chabad. And we said in chapter 3 that we have a neshama, we have a soul. We actually have two souls, but we didn't talk about that. We'll get to that. And our neshama has a structure to it, right? Anything we're going to talk about, we should know what we're talking about. So if we want to talk about the neshama, if we want to talk about the spirit, we should know kind of like, how does it work? What are the different pieces? And there's no actual pieces. What are the pieces and components? What's going on here? What are the factors of my neshama? So we said basically that the neshama has what's called the Eser Koichos HaNefesh, the 10 soul powers. 10, you feel them? Feel them. It's too cold to feel them, right? You feel it's warm inside. It's warm inside. Cold outside. The 10 soul powers. And they're divided into 2, but not 5 and 5 like the 10 commandments. Right? Not like that. 3 and 7. What are the 3? Remember? Oh, so can you say that in English? Can you give one word to say it? Someone said a word that's almost English last week, but not English.
Knowledge.
Huh? Knowledge. Okay, yeah. Or knowledge. Anyone else?
She said it.
What'd you say?
Wisdom.
Wisdom. Okay, good. Anyone else?
Understanding.
Understanding. Anyone else?
Intelligence.
John.
I would say you said it was connection. Connection.
Connection. Okay, we did speak about das and connection. Yeah. Someone said to me last week an English word. It's not really English. Seichel. You know the word seichel? Is that English?
Yes.
It's like shlef. Is that Hebrew? Seichel is Hebrew?
It's
The common sense.
I thought it was English.
No.
What language is shlef? It's English, no?
Yiddish.
It's New York
Yiddish.
English.
It's the it's definitely Yiddish, but seichel. You have to have a little bit of seichel. Seichel means brains, intellect. So of these 10 soul powers, 3 of them are your brains, your intellect. And we said that it's a process, right? Chochma, Bina, Das. Wisdom. I'm just using the translations that I have available. They're not ideal. We spoke about it last week. Wisdom, understanding, and Das, knowledge. But I volunteered. What do you want to say?
No, it's just.
Yeah, I volunteered that I don't like the translation knowledge, but I like the translation connection or bonding. But in any event, and we spoke about how that's why in the Bible, in Torah, it says Adam knew Eve. Adam yoda es Chava. He knew her. Shalom Aleichem, nice to meet you. How you doing? That's not what it means, right? I think we're old enough here, we know what it actually means, right? To know biblically. So that's bonding, that's connection. Then we said the other 7 of those soul powers are, anyone give me one word? Hebrew or English, French, Yiddish, Spanish, whatever language you want, Russian.
That's not like the children, the button.
Oh, okay. The doubles. Right, the mothers are the intellect. Why? Because what do mothers do? What's the first mitzvah in the Torah in order? What's the first mitzvah in the Torah if you go in order? Peruavu, to be fruitful and multiply. To be fruitful and multiply. It's the greatest mitzvah. Being fruitful and multiply brings Mashiach closer. Did you know that? Because there is a storehouse of souls, of neshamos. And when it's depleted, Mashiach will come. So every child that's born brings us one step closer to Mashiach. So the intellect is the mother's because it births emotions. And we said that does not mean that it creates emotions. We're born with emotions. You don't need to create emotions. They don't need to be born. But what is birth? What happens when the mother's in labor versus like presto, if she's lucky, easy, quick delivery, and then there's a baby? What changed in the baby? Answer, nothing really. The baby at 9 months is fully developed. The only question is it outside or is it inside? Right? So birthing doesn't in that sense mean to create. It means to reveal, to access, to bring it out, to publicize, if you will. So the function of intellect in the world of Hasidic thought and Kabbalah is to birth the emotions, to make the emotions accessible, to bring them out. And the emotions are the other 7. Those are the doubles, we said. Why are they doubles? Because they could go either way. An emotion for a feeling of giving could be done that it's kind and takes the other person to account. Or giving could be done in a way that it smothers the recipient. You don't have to nod your head if you know people like that. And every emotion has that double side to it. Now, those are the 10 soul powers. How many?
10.
10. Thank you. Why not 11? Why not 9? Because, okay, we have 10. That's chapter 3. Now we're doing chapter 4. Chapter 4 says like this. Chapter 4, Tanya. I'm just reading in the beginning of chapter 4. Every soul also has, in addition to the 10 soul powers, which are basically your personality. They're basically who you are. And they, for the most part, remain unchanged. If you have an emotion for giving, that doesn't change into an emotion for taking. The emotion for giving is always going to be giving. It just may be manifest in different ways, but it's always going to be giving. So for the most part, our 10 soul powers, how many?
10.
10. Good, thank you. Our 10 soul powers don't change and cannot change for the most part. Comes chapter 4. I got news for you, says the Alter Rebbe. You get something else with your soul as well, which is shloisha levushim. Key words. 3, how many? 3. This is math class today. 3 garments. In Hebrew, levush. Levush in English I'll translate as clothing or a garment. By the way, the name for this class, the official name, other than being the Jewish U, GPS for the soul, whatever, yada, 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 whatever it's called, is going to a climate. How does it go? Going to a climate that suits my clothes. Did I say it right?
I think so.
I forget. Anyway, going to a climate that suits my clothes. Do you need to go to a climate that suits your clothes?
No.
You could just change your clothes. Right. I have a friend who grew up in Holland. What do they do a lot of in Holland? That's legal. Well, it's legal there too. What do they do a lot of in Holland?
Bike.
Biking. Oh, good. Biking. They do a lot of biking in Holland. So this guy brought his custom of biking to America. He used to live in Brooklyn. Now he moved to Baltimore, and he bikes. He bikes all year long to work. He bikes to shul. Anywhere he used to go, he bikes. And I saw the other day he posted a picture of himself with like his beard, like ice like icicles on his mustache and his beard, a hat, and he's got his bike out and there's snow everywhere. And he wrote with it, "There's no bad weather, only bad clothing." Debatable, right? But you get the point. The point is that you can adjust your clothes for the climate. You don't have to go to another climate to suit your clothes. Going where the climate suits my clothes. It's a song. Maybe you'll figure it out one day what song it is. But going to a climate that suits my clothes, you don't have to do that. You can change your clothes here. And that's what the Alter Rebbe is talking about. Our soul also has clothing. 3 types of garments. We're not talking about physical clothing, right? We're talking about the neshama, about the soul. So we're obviously not talking about physical clothing. Well, what kind of clothing are we talking about? So the Alter Rebbe continues, shehem, that these 3 items of clothing are machshava, dibur, umaise. Machshava. Anyone translate? Thought. That's a garment. We'll get to this soon. Dibur. Speech. And maise. Maaseh. Action. Doing. Thought, speech, and action are the garments of my soul. What does a garment do? Why are you wearing clothing? Nothing. I don't mean this personal. Why are you wearing clothing for? Basics is because it's cold outside. And if it wasn't cold, probably still would be wearing clothing, right?
Social norm.
Social norm. So why are you wearing this shirt, not a different shirt? Why are you wearing this item of clothing in particular? We choose clothing that we want to wear. Why? And why some people have comfy sweatshirts, like the guy next to me, right? Comfy sweatshirt? Comfy. My daughter told me about that brand, Comfy. It's not spelled, there's no vowels in it, right? Okay.
I know you're talking.
You know, right? So what makes us choose certain items of clothing or the other? Why is there a multi-billion-dollar fashion industry that for some reason I have to have a jacket with a certain brand name on the inside? And it's so important that people should know I have that brand name that they put the label on the outside too, so that everybody knows what brand I'm wearing. Just get the clothing and put it on and move on with your life. What does it matter what clothing you wear? Why do people actually care what you wear? Do you ever think about it? Why do you care what you wear? Nodding. Lots of nodding. Anybody? What do you care about?
Self-expression.
Oh, self-expression. That's right. It's basics. So on the one hand, the basic reason why we wear clothing is, well, either because it's cold outside or because we're social construct. I don't want to walk around without clothing on. That doesn't seem quite right for many reasons, right? But then why am I choosing these specific clothing? Because I'm expressing myself in some way. When you go to a wedding or some other formal event, you're probably wearing formal clothing, whatever that is, right? Like someone once asked a Chabad rabbi, how come you always wear a black suit and a white shirt? It's for formal events. So the rabbi said, yeah, we have a lot of formal events. You never know when there's going to be a formal event. So I wear black and white every day. In any event, clothing is an expression of me. I want to express a certain image to others of what kind of person I am or something about myself. So I choose clothing. The irony is that in choosing those clothing, I'm actually hiding myself. I'm actually covering myself by choosing to wear clothing. So in order to express, I actually have to cover. In order for a teacher to express an idea to his students, he actually has to retain the core idea and figure out how to say it to his students. Depends if they're in grade 1 or if they're in an advanced class in college. It depends. It could be the same idea. How is it expressed might depend on who you're expressing it to. So clothing are an expression of my soul, yet at the same time, they're also restraining and covering my soul. So what are the items of clothing here? Again, thought, speech, and action. By the way, this is a key point in the entire Tanya and through all the writings of Chassidus. Now, how do my garments, the 3 garments, how does that differ from chapter 3, the 10 soul powers? How do they differ? Anyone? What's the difference between a garment and garment? You could also think of, by the way, as your outsides. Your outsides, whereas the 10 soul powers are like your insides. How does it differ? Anyone? Well, yeah.
You go through the garments before you go through any of the actions or emotions. Like, let's say you're expressing hatred first. Hopefully, you think about why you're upset about it. You talk to someone, and then you actually do the action. It's a prerequisite tolerance.
Okay. Now, you're right. So let's say you're experiencing a thought of, we shouldn't say hatred, but let's say hating another person, right? What comes after the thought? You start to speak about it. What should you do at that point?
Hopefully, stop.
Hopefully stop. Now, the garment of speech, if I allow myself to express myself in my speech, I could just as easily take off this shirt and put on a different one. So if I'm saying certain words, I could just either completely stop or just replace them with other words. A garment can be easily removed. It's not really all that connected to you. Okay, my sweater thankfully fits me. It's not too big, it's not too small. But beyond that, it's not really connected to me. If I want, I can unzip and remove my sweater. No problem. It's not that difficult. So too with my words. Easier for some people than others, right? I could just either stop talking or replace negative words with positive words. It's not that hard. Same thing with action. If I'm doing something that I don't want to be doing, if I'm doing something inappropriate, so stop. What's so complicated? Just stop. And maybe do something else. Maybe don't do something else. What about thought? What if you're thinking something, negative thoughts or something that you feel is inappropriate? What can you do then? Can you stop thinking? I'm getting
Where do thoughts
To
come
do
from?
something.
Where do thoughts come from?
a good question. Very, very good question. Where do thoughts come from? Did you ever think about where do thoughts come from? What?
Desire.
Desires. And where do desires come from? What'd you say?
Similar question to the other person.
Okay. Okay. Good. We don't?
No, I don't know.
You don't know. So thought, the garment of thought, in contrast to the garment of speech or action, you can't just stop thinking. Try it. You can't. Thought in Kabbalah, the stage called machshava, is compared to a river. The water in the river is always flowing. It doesn't stop flowing. So too, my thoughts are always flowing. Sometimes people can't sleep at night because their thoughts are like flowing and don't stop. Keep them up at night. So if you want to stop thinking negative thoughts or bad thoughts or whatever it is, you can't actually stop. The only way is to take it off and replace it with another one. So thought needs to be replaced, whereas speech or action you could just stop or replace. But either way, the garments of my soul, thought, speech, action, those are expressions of who I am. They come from my soul. If I'm thinking something, if I'm speaking something, if I'm doing something, it all originates somewhere. It doesn't just pop out of nowhere. It originates somewhere. It originates from me. So who's in control of my thought, speech, and action? AI. No, I mean, I'm in control of my thought, speech, and action, right? If I'm not in control, like people, a lot of people that I've met have asked me, Rabbi, speech and action, I get it. I get that I can control that. Some people feel like they can't even control that, by the way. But my thoughts, I can control my thoughts. What do you think about that? Can you control your thoughts?
Yes.
Yes. Anyone else?
Train
No.
yourself to control your.
What?
Train yourself to control your.
So yes, in other words, you could. Okay. Anyone else? Yes. No. Maybe.
I agree with what you said.
Huh?
Want to stop thinking is one brain hurts.
Is that a movie or something? So, John, you want to say something or ask
Yeah.
something?
I was gonna say, you asked what would make our brain rot. I go, no, control our
I know
thoughts.
what would make our brain rot.
No, control our thoughts. And I feel that,
No, don't feel.
okay,
Think. Can you control your thoughts? Don't stop feeling. I don't want you to feel. I want you to think about, can you control your thoughts?
we can control what we're about to say.
No,
but
I didn't ask you to control what you say. Can you control your
sometimes we
thoughts?
speak our thoughts, the same, sometimes we speak our thoughts.
Sometimes we speak our thoughts. That's true.
I'm saying we need to control that, we can control them. However, we cannot control our thoughts.
So if I can't control my thoughts, then who's controlling them? Yes.
Well, I think my question to this would be, I definitely think you can control your thoughts, but the question is, are those thoughts, let's say that you repress, going to come back even stronger?
Okay. That's a great question. They might.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because in my experience, I've been able to control thoughts, but I don't know if I've ever had thoughts completely disappear. You know, I definitely think it's possible to push thoughts to the side.
But it's not about making them disappear. It's about like changing your perspective. Like maybe in the back of your mind, like they'll still be there, but you still control how you think and how you choose to think. And even if like, okay, it's still there in the back of your mind, you're not thinking about it because like you can't get rid of that.
You like
idea.
distract yourself.
Yeah, but you're not thinking about it. Like if it's a negative thought, but you change your mentality to be positive, maybe somewhere in your mind that negative thought's still there, but you're not thinking that thought. It's not like
If you change your perspective on that, yeah.
I'm
But
saying you're not actively, maybe it's somewhere in your subconscious mind, but you're not like thinking those negative thoughts if you choose to change your perspective and the way you think.
yeah,
And you can control it 100%, actually.
yeah.
So again, if I don't control my thoughts, then who is? And again, the answer is not AI or Google. People forgot about Google already. If I don't control my thoughts, who does? The answer is, of course, I can control my thoughts. Easy? Nobody said it was easy. In fact, it might seem at times almost impossible. It might seem that way. A person may be plagued with thoughts of self-doubt. Don't raise your hand if you've ever felt self-doubt. Or maybe we should, because everyone will raise their hand and say, yes, I have felt self-doubt at some point. Everybody's felt. Every human being has felt that. So the more I think, yeah, I'm a loser, I can't do it, I can't. The more I think it, the harder it's going to be to get out of those thoughts. But it's not impossible. I control my thoughts, or at least I'm able to control my thoughts, or I'm able to just let it go. If I choose to let my thoughts go, then I choose to let them go. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I can control, just like a garment, I can choose to either put it on or to remove it. So to thought, speech, and actions, the garments of my soul, the modes of expression of my soul, I can choose what I think about. I can choose what I say and I can choose what I do. And don't anyone take away that autonomy from you. Don't let anyone tell you that you don't get to choose what you think or say or do. Every one of us has that ability. It's my DNA. It's the garments of my soul. That's how I express myself. The only question is, what am I thinking? What am I thinking? What am I saying? And what am I doing? That's the only question. So whereas chapter 3, the 10 soul powers, that's like my guts, my kishkis. What language is kishkin? My guts, my kishkis, my insides, my personality, who I am, which for the most part remains unchanged. Chapter 4, my garments are my outside, my behavior. So the Tanya posits that I don't really need to change who I am. You're fine as the way you are. You're fine just as you are. There's nothing wrong with you. Most likely, you're probably 100% normal. You don't need to change who you are. Who you are is how God created you. Some people are created with more athletic talent. Some people are created with less. What's the difference? You have whatever you have. However, posits the author of the Tanya in chapter 4, beginning in chapter 4 rather, you also have garments. That's your behavior. That is where you can shine. That is what you can and must control, and you're able to control. And control means to guide, to direct. What do you think about? I don't have to think thoughts of self-pity. I don't have to. Even if maybe I'm inclined towards that. Maybe for whatever reason, my nature is that I feel down a lot. Or maybe my nature is that I'm always very excitable and very lively. I don't know. Everybody has a different nature. No two people are the same. But I don't have to allow myself to be victim to my thoughts. I don't have to allow myself to be victim to my speech. Some people have a hard time controlling what they say. But we can control it. And same with action for sure. I get to decide what I do and how I do it and when I do it. So says the Alter Rebbe and Tanya. While I don't need to change who I am because I'm fine just the way I am, I might need to make adjustments to what I think about. I might need to adjust what I say, and I might need to adjust what I do. And sometimes that's all it is. Just an adjustment. Sometimes that's all it takes. A little adjustment. And if I make a little adjustment, all of a sudden I'm in line. Yeah, you drive a car. If you want to turn around a 90-degree corner, you turn the wheel all the way, right? But sometimes, what if you turn the wheel just a tiny bit? You'll only veer a tiny bit at first. But then little by little by little, all of a sudden, you're way off track. And I didn't even turn the steering wheel. How did I get so off track? Good, so I can also steer back on track. To make small adjustment, and I'm back on track. That's why, for example, if you plant a sapling, plant a young tree. We just had Tu B'Shvat recently, so I'll share with you a Tu B'Shvat analogy. If you plant a sapling, a young tree, we have to be even more careful about the tree when it's a little fresh little sapling than when it's a grown 100-foot tall tree. If you make a cut, take a knife and make a small cut in a sapling, it has a much bigger impact, not for the good, on that tree than if you take a knife and cut the same cut in a fully grown tree. All the more so with human beings, right? That's why many people, they have a baby, they're blessed with Peru Ravu to be fruitful and multiply. People are so careful about the baby. Why? Because it makes a big difference. We have to be extra cautious. So sometimes all it takes is a small adjustment. So that is class number 2, that we discussed the 3 garments of the soul, not the soul, thought, speech, and action. And those are areas that each and every one of us have the ability to control. Yes, even my thoughts. I can control my thoughts. It's not necessarily easy. At other times it is easy. And with that, we bring to a conclusion the class for today, unless anyone has any questions or comments. Okay, thank you everyone for coming, and we'll be continuing next week. We'll move on to chapter 5. And then week after that, chapter 6. Thank you everyone for coming. Stay warm.